What's going on, vinyl community? Welcome to another video with the Record Spinner. In today's video, I'm going to be doing yet another bootleg vinyl haul. The last one I did was a Kiss original lineup centered one. Now I am sort of clearing the way to showcase everything else that I've accumulated over what has been a period of roughly 6 months. Some of these bootlegs you may have seen me showcase in the Youngest Members of the VC Take St. Louis documentary, since I got some bootlegs during our travels, or the record store vlog that I did when I was in Greensburg, Pennsylvania. But everything else has never been showcased, and I am excited to finally show and discuss what I have been getting my hands on. And there is kind of a loose trend with this haul, since it comprises of a lot of demo material by artists such as Metallica, Ramones, Guns N' Roses, Motley Crue, and Queen, as well as a host of other oddities such as soundboard tapes, radio broadcasts, and much, much more. It's about to go deep, so without further ado, sit back, relax, and enjoy the latest bootleg vinyl finds. First up is Metallica, Metal Up Your Ass, not to be confused with the live demo called Live Metal Up Your Ass. This is an integral piece of early Metallica history, since all but one of the tracks here comprise of their original demo tape, which of course is the infamous No Life Till Leather tape, and the final track is the version of Hit the Lights that appears on the Metal Massacre compilation, all of which features the very first lineup of James, Lars, Ron McGovney on bass, and Dave Mustaine on guitar. On this release is an early version of The Four Horsemen, back when it was called Mechanics, which Dave would go on to record on Megadeth's debut album Killing Is My Business. One listens to these early Metallica recordings, and you can definitely see the evolution in James Hetfield's vocals, because here he is just screeching through them, and once you get to Kill 'Em All, he really came into his own. But just to kind of tie it all in with early Metallica history, the band wanted to use the title Metal Up Your Ass for the debut, to which the label wouldn't allow, so then it became Kill 'Em All, and the rest is history. But as you see here, this was the original cover the band would have used. The back features a photo of Lars, Cliff, and James, with a brief little write-up talking about the tracks that are featured here. And it's kind of mocked up to look like an official release, since the label is the European Music for Nations label, and it's pressed on orange vinyl. Next up is Iron Maiden, 1978 to 1980 classic album tracks. This is a compilation of material that covers the period just before Maiden's first album came out. You have some tracks from a BBC radio session from 1979, a track that appeared on the Metal for Mothers compilation from 1980. You get all the tracks the band recorded for the Soundhouse tape 7-inch on New Year's Eve 1978, which was their first EP/release, and you also get the B-side of the Running Free single. So if you're one that's really into the Paul Di'Anno Maiden stuff, which I indeed am, has a slight punky edge to it, then I would say this bootleg is a must-own. As you can see on the cover, it says Thundersticks' Kings of Metal, and of course Thundersticks was the drummer of Saxon, which featured a pre-Maiden Bruce Dickinson on vocals, and Thundersticks also appeared in a Maiden lineup right around the time that they first started. So that is featured on the front, and then the back has a couple of era photos there, and this pressing comes pressed on black vinyl. Next up is David Bowie Changes Eno Bowie. This release focuses on material that David and Brian Eno had a hand in crafting together from two distinctive periods in Bowie's career, the Berlin period of the late 70s and when they reunited in the mid-90s. So you get a host of tracks from the albums Low, Heroes, Lodger, and Outside, such as Warzawa, Boys Keep Swinging, Red Sails, and I Have Not Been to Oxford Town, from multiple sources such as Tokyo 78, Montreal 83, and St. Louis 95, most of which have been bootlegged in the past, so it's basically a compilation, but the fact that it's centered around Bowie and Eno is unique, since the albums they worked on together are highly regarded in Bowie's discography. Obviously, the title and design of the artwork is reminiscent of the Changes 1 Bowie compilation, some color lens photos on the back, and this pressing comes pressed on orange vinyl. Next up is the Ramones Pleasant Demos. This is a collection of demos that were done in preparation of the Pleasant Dreams album. Some of these demos were released as bonus tracks on the expanded CD version of the album in 2002, but the majority of these remain unreleased. Now, given that the Pleasant Dreams album has this slick sort of production quality to it, these demos provide a nice sort of alternate raw viewpoint of many of the tracks that appear on the album. And on here are also some tracks that didn't appear on the final record, such as Sleeping Troubles, They're Not Really Me, Baby Say You Beg, and I Wasn't Looking for Love, as well as the song Touring, which was later recorded by the band for the Mondo Bizarro album in 1992. Overall, a rather interesting listen, and here we have sort of a re-rendering of the original album artwork that has a sort of cartoonish image of the band imposed on the front in place of the jacketed figure that appears on the back cover with the track list. Next up is Guns N' Roses Self-Destruction. This is a collection of demos that were recorded around the time frame of the Appetite for Destruction and Lies albums. A lot of the recordings on this release are taken from the Sound City sessions from 1986, which do appear on the Super Deluxe Appetite box set. Now, this made for an interesting listen because while there are songs that appear on the Appetite and Lies albums, there are also some covers of the Rolling Stones' Jumpin' Jack Flash and Elvis Presley's Heartbreak Hotel. There's also the non-album B-side Shadow of Your Love, Back Off Bitch, which also appears on User Illusion 1, and the original piano demo for November Rain from the same album, which makes for such a fascinating listen. Now, I wouldn't go as far as to say that I am a huge Guns N' Roses fan, but I do appreciate the records, and if there is an era of the band that I'm willing to dive a bit deeper in, it's this one. Album cover here features Axl with an oxygen mask, and there is a cool band photo on the back. Next up is Motley Crue, Demos and Outtakes 1981 to 82. Just like the title states, this is a collection of demos and outtakes from the Too Fast for Love / Shout at the Devil period, which is indeed my favorite era of Motley Crue. Same deal with the Ramones and Guns N' Roses releases that I showcased. There's a good chunk of tracks that didn't appear on those albums, such as Run for Your Life, I'll Survive, Black Widow, Running Wild, and Hotter Than Hell. No, not the Kiss track. There's also the track Stick to Your Guns, which was released as a single and appears on the Leather Records version of Too Fast for Love, along with the non-album B-side, Toast of the Town. So between all of those tracks, there's roughly half or two-thirds of an album's worth of material that perhaps could have continued the steady streak that the Crüe had before Theater of Pain sort of nosedived things a little bit. But anyways, this does feature a cool Shout at the Devil era photo on the front cover, little photo collage on the back with the track list. This comes pressed on yellow vinyl with some cool custom center labels of old flyers from the band's gigs at the Starwood, as well as some band shots as well. Next up is Iron Maiden Live Paris 1982. This is a radio broadcast taken from the Pavilion Baltard in Paris, France on March 24th, 1982 during the Number of the Beast tour. It's an incomplete recording and certainly taken from a low generation tape, but the mix overall sounds solid and the performances are absolutely blistering. Eddie appears here, taken from the custom center labels of the Number of the Beast album with the title text and the colors of the French flag. Some band photos on the back cover. This is limited and numbered out of 500 copies, and this looks to be copy number 179. Does come with an insert here, kind of like a brief write-up talking about Bruce Dickinson's entry into the band, since Number of the Beast was his first album with Maiden. And both of the LPs here come pressed on this sort of marbled baby blue colored vinyl. Next up is Linkin Park live at Madison Square Garden. This is taken from the band's performance at, you guessed it, Madison Square Garden in New York City on February 2nd, 2011 during the Thousand Suns tour. The source for this bootleg is actually taken from a concert film that was broadcasted on Fuse, so it's crystal clear, perfect soundboard quality audio. Linkin Park is such a phenomenal band that perfectly worked in elements of rock, rap, electronic, and other genres, and it's thanks to my best friend Donovan that got me into these guys when we were in middle school long ago. So while Linkin Park kind of stands out amongst the other artists that I'm showcasing in this haul, they do hold a special place in my heart since it evokes a lot of nostalgia. The cover here features a cool band photo. The back includes some shots of Mike Shinoda and, of course, the late great Chester Bennington. Gatefold features a sort of older era photo, and the first LP comes pressed on kind of marbled blue vinyl here, and the second LP, once I get it out of the jacket, comes pressed on marbled green vinyl. Next up is The Beatles' Inside Job, Some Gems from the Vault. This is a sort of mishmash of various studio outtakes from the entire span of the Beatles' recording career, from the sessions for Please Please Me to the Savile Row sessions for Get Back / Let It Be. There's a bit of familiar territory on here that has been seen on other bootlegs or officially released releases, such as the anthologies and the super deluxe releases, such as, George's acoustic demo of While My Guitar Gently Weeps, and the track Not Guilty from the White Album sessions, but you do also get some alternate mixes of Ticket to Ride, A Taste of Honey, and I Feel Fine, rehearsals of One After 909 and Get Back, Your Blues by the Dirty Mac from the Rolling Stones Rock and Roll Circus, amongst other things. Any bootleg consisting of Beatles studio outtakes usually tends to be interesting with different takes and mixes used, so it's all good stuff. The cover here features a Magical Mystery Tour era photo on the front with a 63-64 photo in the back, and ironically enough, this bootleg is stated to have been released on a label called Orange Records, a nice contrast to the Beatles label Apple, as you can tell with the custom center labels, and to match it all up, it's pressed on orange vinyl. Next up is Queen Spaced Out Demos and Outtakes. This is a 2 LP collection of recordings taken from the period of 1982 to 1991. There's alternate mixes and takes of tracks that appear on the albums that came out within that period that are fun to listen to, especially if you are attached to and so familiar with the records that you can pick out the differences, whether it's Brian's guitar parts that are left off of a final mix or different vocal takes from Freddie, as well as demo versions of that material. But aside from material that fans are familiar with, there's also oddities on here that evolved into Queen classics, such as an early demo of Under Pressure called Feel Like, and the origins of Breakthrough with A New Life is Born, along with songs that only existed as small little demo ideas, such as Back to Storm, My Secret Fantasy, and Robbery. If you're a diehard Queen fan who is aware of what exists in the bootleg circles, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. But overall, this is a interesting alternate open window that one passes, see what I did there, into the recording world of Queen during basically the second half of their recording career, essentially. The cover has a cool kind of spacey look to it with a galaxy background and computerized renderings of the band photos from Hot Space. Track list on the back that also lists what each member does in the band. The gatefold has individual track write-ups, which kind of give you some context as to what's different or unique, as well as a band photo collage that kind of reminds me of the artwork on the Live Magic album. And out of 90 limited and numbered copies, I have copy number 65, and both of the LPs here come pressed on gold vinyl. Last but not least is Led Zeppelin, Malcolm Salam. This is a soundboard recording taken from the Municipal Auditorium in Mobile, Alabama on May 13th, 1973 during the Houses of the Holy tour. Given that it's a soundboard recording, the sound quality is absolutely solid. The only drawbacks being is that the recording cuts after Moby Dick, and I don't know if the tape was running just a tad bit on the faster side or the pitch was adjusted. Everything sounds transposed a half step higher, but those factors aren't adequate enough to take away from the enjoyment of the recording. This show was also from the same tour that the band recorded and filmed The Song Remains the Same, so this could be seen as a sort of more raw companion piece to the live album. The front features a cool live shot of the band. The The back has a nice shot of Page and Plant along with a small write-up taken from the actual newspaper review of the show. And the packaging on this is actually quite unique since it has this sort of flip-top opening where upon opening it up you see all kinds of advertisements, posters, newspaper clippings, ticket stubs and such. And inside we have various bits and pieces of sort of memorabilia. We have 2 glossy photos here. Yeah, the first one of the band, and we have one of Robert Plant there. And the backs of these have the Led Zeppelin 4 symbols here. There's also a giant fold-out poster promoting the show, which you can see looks very, very nice. And out of 400 limited and numbered copies, as you can perhaps see on the back here, this is copy number 136. First LP comes pressed on blue vinyl, and the second LP comes pressed on yellow vinyl. So there you guys go. That is my latest bootleg vinyl haul. If you enjoyed this video, please go ahead, give it a like, and subscribe to the channel. See you guys in the next video, and most importantly, keep the records spinning.